here, and so this is something about going on the road. That's written by Jack Kerouac.
Yeah, before there were pranksters, before there were hippies, there were pranksters. Before there were pranksters, there was the Beats, and it all came out of Jack Kerouac in a book called On the Road. And if you haven't read that, you need to, because it'll wake you up. We're going to read some dialogue from On the Road. He's Jack Kerouac, I'm Neil Cassidy, and here we go.
Do you remember that time we were back on the main highway? That night I saw the entire state of Nebraska unroll before my eyes. 110 miles an hour straight through, an arrow road, sleeping towns, no traffic, and the Union Pacific Streamliner falling behind us in the moonlight. I wasn't frightened at all that night. It was perfectly legitimate to go 110 and talk and have all the Nebraska towns, Gothenburg, Kearney, Grand Island, Columbus, unreal with dreamlike rapidity as we roared ahead and talked. It was a magnificent car. It could hold the road like a boat holds on water. Gradual curves were its singing ease.
Oh man, what a dreamboat,
sighed Neil.
Think if you and I had a car like this, what we could do. Do you know there's a road that goes down Mexico and all the way to Panama, and maybe all the way to the bottom of South America, where the Indians are 7 feet tall and eat cocaine on the mountainside? Yes, you and I, Jack, we'll dig the whole world with a car like this, because man, the road must eventually lead to the whole world. Ain't nowhere else it can go, right? Oh, and are we going to cut around an old Chi with this thing? Think of it, Jack. I've never been to Chicago in all my life.
We'll come in there like Jerry gangsters in this Cadillac.
Yes, and girls. We can pick up girls. In fact, Jack, I've decided to make extra special fast time so we can have an entire evening to cut around in this thing. Now, you just relax and I'll ball the jack all the way.
Well, how fast are you going now, man?
Steady 110, I figure. You wouldn't notice it. We're still got all of Iowa in the daytime, and then I'll make that old Illinois and nothing flat.
The boys in the back seat fell asleep, and we talked and talked all night. It was remarkable how Neil could go mad and then suddenly continue with his soul, which is wrapped up in a fast car, a coaster reach, and a woman at the end of the road. Calmly and sanely as though nothing had happened.
I get like that every time in Denver now. I can't make that town anymore. Googly, Neil's a spooky. Zoom!
And I told him I had been over this very Nebraska road before in 1947, and Neil had too.
Jack, when I was working for the New Era Laundry in Los Angeles in 1944, falsifying my age, I made a trip to Indianapolis Speedway for the express purpose of seeing the Memorial Day 500 Classic, hitchhiking by day and stealing cars by night to make time. And also, I had a $20 Buick back in LA, my first car. It couldn't pass the brake and light inspection, so I decided I needed an out-of-state license to operate the car without arrest. So went through here to get the license. As I was hitchhiking through one of these very towns with the plates I had concealed under my coat, a nosy sheriff who thought I was pretty young to be hitchhiking accosted me on the main drag. He found the plates and threw me in the 2-cell jail with a county delinquent who should have been in the home for the old since he couldn't even feed himself. The sheriff's wife fed him, and sat through the day drooling and slobbering. After investigation, which included corny things like a fatherly quiz, then an abrupt turnaround to frighten me with threats, a comparison of my handwriting, of course, and after I made the most magnificent speech of my life to get out of it, concluding with a confession that I was lying about my car stealing past and was only looking for my pa, who was a farmhand hereabouts, he let me go. Of course, I missed the race. The following fall, I did the same thing again to see the Notre Dame California game in South Bend, Indiana. Trouble none this time, Jack. I had just the money for the ticket and not an extra cent, and didn't eat anything all up and back, except for what I could panhandle from all kinds of crazy cats I met along the road, and at the same time, gun gals. Only guy in the United States of America that ever went to so much trouble to see a ball game.
That sounds like you. But what were the circumstances of you being in Los Angeles in 1944.
Well, I was arrested in Arizona. That joint, absolutely the worst I've ever been in. I had to escape and pulled the greatest escape of my life. Speaking of escapes, you see, in a general way. In the woods, you know, crawling in swamps, up around that mountain country, rubber hoses and the works, and accidental so-called death facing me. I had to cut out of those woods along the ridge so as to keep away from trails and paths and roads. Had to get rid of my joint clothes and sneak the neatest theft of a shirt and pants from a gas station outside Flagstaff. Arriving in LA 2 days later, clad as gas attendant, and walked to the first station I saw and got hired and got myself a room and changed my name and spent an exciting year in LA, including a whole gang of new friends and some really great girls. That season ending when we were all driving on Hollywood Boulevard one night, and I told my buddy to steer the car while I kissed my gal. I was the wheel, see, and he didn't hear me, and we ran smack into a post, but only going 20, and I broke my nose. You've seen before my nose, the crooked Grecian curve up here. After that, I went to Denver and met Mary Lou in the soda fountain that spring. Oh man, she was only 15 and wearing jeans and just waiting for someone to pick her up. 3 days and 3 nights of talk in the Ace Hotel, 3rd floor, southeast corner room, holy memento room, and sacred scene of my days. Oh, she was so sweet then, so young. But hey, look down there in the night there, up a bunch of old bones by the fire, by the rail, damn me.
He almost slowed down.
You see, I never know whether my father's there or not.
And there were some figures by the tracks, reeling in front of a wood fire.
I never know whether to ask. He might be anywhere.
And we drove on, and somewhere behind us or in front of us is this huge night. His father lay drunk under a bush, and no doubt about it, spittle on his chin, water on his pants, molasses in his ears, scabs on his nose, and the moon shining down on him. And I took Neil's arm. Ah, man, we're sure going home now. New York was going to be his permanent pad for the first time, and he jiggled all over. He couldn't wait.
And think, Jack, when we get to Penzie, we'll start hearing that gone Eastern bop on the disc jockeys. Yeah, roll, old boat, roll.
That magnificent car made the wind roar. It made the plains unfold like a scroll of paper. It cast hot tar from itself with deference, an imperial boat. I opened my eyes to a fanning dawn, and we were hurling up to it. Neil's rocky, dogged face, as ever, bent over the dashlight with a bony purpose all its own. What are you thinking, Pops?
Same old thing, you know. Girls, girls, and more girls.
And that is Neil Cassidy.
And that is Jack Kerouac. And
Enjoy the Venice Beach Music Festival.
we
We're
thank you
glad
for
to
your
be
attention.
here in LA, California.
Thank you.
All right, well, now you can get back to some good music here. We will not detain your consciousness any longer. You never know what's going to happen. Some fantastic karma might suddenly occur right in front of you. And if it does, dig it, man. Just dig it. Thank you all for being here.
Morning, you guys.